Hola, everybody. Welcome again to Show to V with Mike G, the show of life, the show of whiskey, the show of cake, the show of books. I hope that you all enjoyed the 2016 San Antonio Cocktail Conference. I hope you drank all of the whiskey. I hope you drank all of the mezcal. And I hope that you learned an awful lot. To continue the spirit of the San Antonio cocktail industry, today's interview is with Killian Oliver, a San Antonian who is the bar manager at Whiskey Cake in La Cantera. Talk about a lot of different things, but we definitely talk about books and drinking mezcal at 9:31 a.m. Although not a personal record for me of sorts, it was a great chat nonetheless. So without further ado, why don't we give a listen to my interview with Killian Oliver.
I've been here a year.
A year?
A year, yeah. We opened in November.
Oh, right.
Last year.
And what's the center called? It kind of reminds me of the domain.
La Cantera.
La Cantera.
So way up on the north, like when you start driving around, when you go to meet the boys later, you're going to be like, holy shit, she's out there.
Well, yeah, I was like, oh, this is a street taking me to Fiesta, Texas. I was like, oh, shit, where am I going?
Did you see Superman's butt out there? That's what I get to look at all day.
Superman's butt? Where is it?
If you look right out the front doors there's Superman's butt. It's like, that is a nice piece of ass.
But which Superman? The new one? The guy that I don't know his name. It's like a Men's Health cover model?
You'll have to forgive my lack of nerdism on that,
I
I guess.
don't know. There's so many damn Supermans. It's hard to say. But so, typically when we do these, and this is good. I like this. We're on location. We're drinking some coffee. You've got some mezcal. You're up early.
Yes.
Is that... How do you do that?
Like out late and then get up early. I mean, I guess it's a healthy balance because you have to remember to take care of yourself, and I think that's something that we all forget.
Yes.
A lot of the time.
Absolutely.
So some days I'm home and it's Friday and I'm drinking tea in bed at 10 while everybody's out.
Yeah.
Or it's Monday. Monday's always been date night for everybody where we're all off. And we can all go watch football and decompress and gossip and talk about girls, talk about boys.
Just gossip.
Just gossip,
just
essentially,
gossip. Yeah.
yes. So, but then it's, hey, get up and go to the gym. Hey, you already ate 2 pieces of white bread this week.
For a second, I thought you were going to say, you already ate a pizza. You already ate a pizza tonight. Gonna have to go to the gym in the morning if you feel like it or not.
That sometimes happens.
Yeah.
Sometimes you eat a whole pizza and you don't feel guilty about it.
No.
That's what Fernette's for, right?
Yeah, it kind kind of gets it moving.
Right, any digestive. That's why you have breakfast tomorrow.
Yes. The Italians, they didn't invent amare to just drink and be pleasurable. They drank it because they ate so much food. They needed to go. They need to get it moving.
Right.
Fernet there's no better solution or formula to feel less full than Fernet.
That's true. Like, you go out, you have a big meal, you have to drink with everybody afterwards.
Yeah.
Fernet. I'm on an Angostura kick.
Oh, geez, just straight?
Yeah. So I drink the most.
God.
I always tease them because they're like, "Oh, you're so money driven. You're so money driven." I'm like, I drink the most expensive thing in the bar.
Yeah. That's and the most potent by volume.
Yes.
How do you drink it?
Just straight, shoot it back.
Angostura. So here's the one thing. This is one reason I won't drink Angostura anymore. I like it. It's a good additive. It obviously adds this nice element to cocktails. But it makes my breath smell like fucking terrible.
Like, you've got to scrape your taste buds off and start over.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. I had a Angostura and Coke one night. This is the last time.
Angostura and Coke?
I think it was a joke that Dennis Gobus was playing on me, but it would tasted good. I was like, oh, all right, it's bitter. Right? That's what it's supposed to be. But for the next 2 days, I swear to God, no matter what I did, Listerine, brushing my tongue, it would not go away. Do you ever notice that taste in the back of your mouth?
I think I had the I've stuck my tongue and I'm like, is my tongue Angostura stained? Like, after a long night of drinking, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, I need to lay off, apparently.
But that's a rite of passage.
I suppose so, yeah.
It's like chicken pox. Like, you got to do it at least once. Staying the shit out of your tongue with Angostura. It makes sense.
Oh, man.
I as a mezcal person, and we'll kind of talk about the bottle here. This is the Tempestate. This is this year's, I think, right?
Yeah, it is this year.
Yeah, 301 liters. Acalino, February of 2015. 52. which is pretty nice. And this is 100% Tepestate. There's another one that he blends.
It blends.
Espadín colas or Tobalá colas. I can't remember.
Yeah, it's the Anbaro, right, that they did that with?
That's one of the blends, but there's another one they put out in Seattle only to just totally nerd out. That is probably, it was a Sierra Negra Tepestate blend, which is the finest mezcal I think I've ever had.
Does the West Coast get all the cool stuff?
Only Seattle does. And that's because of the Back Bar Project, those guys over there.
There's so much gin I want that I'm like, why can't I get that here?
Which gins are you?
I'm trying to think of some of the stuff. You know what I really want from the East Coast is that Green Hat gin.
Green Hat from DC.
Oh my God, the bottles are really cool. I have a friend that worked on the marketing project for it, and apparently their juice is awesome. They've gotten a bunch of reviews. I'm like, who is smuggling that in their suitcase?
No one's bringing it in to Texas yet that I know of. And I've talked to them plenty of times to get a sample because I could try to help, but nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah,
really?
I don't know. So I have to kind of keep
Sometimes those East Coasters are really snobby.
Yeah,
I could say that I am one. So.
Are you an East Coaster? So to seek into it. Thank you so much, Killian, for the mezcal at 9:31 in the morning. You know what? That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It's gonna be a long day for both of us.
Right.
It's New Year's Eve. You're working at 9.
Weren't we talking about balance? How do you balance your day? About
just
getting
don't
up
drink
early?
Tomorrow. Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. Went to the gym all this week. Rode my bike, but today there's an exception. It's absolutely
exactly.
I like it. It's a good exception. All right, let's see. So I don't know that I've had this one.
I think, again, like I told you, everything, I like that 3,300 feet, everything over 7,000 feet is like too sweet for me. Like all you get is the sugar. So for me, I love this.
Man.
I love that floral note.
So good. It's actually pretty, for me, it's relatively sweet, but it's so vegetal, without getting into taste notes a lot. But Tepestate, the thing I love about Tepestate, and I mentioned this kind of before in a couple of other shows, but it's the oldest of the varietals. It's like 18 to 25 years old. It's sat there and endured so many seasons that you taste in all those seasons. It's such a great vehicle for the terroir,
Yeah, I think that's why they're so crazy and freeform. It's like, okay, this is cool. This is what it's supposed to be like.
They're so massive, too. You seen those things?
I know.
They make me feel very, very small. The power of nature.
They might be my spirit animal just because, or my spirit plant, I guess.
No, it's an animal of sorts.
Yeah, I guess. Just because the Espadines are so prim and proper.
Yeah. Totally. Like really manicured, nice, tight leaf array. Or if leaf is the right word, I'm not really sure. But so you say you're from the East Coast?
I am. I grew up in Massachusetts.
Where about?
Cape Cod. Before
you don't have the accent.
Thank God, because I went to college.
No, thank God. Okay.
I went to college in Florida. So my roommates tortured me until all of the accent is gone. So
what's it like growing up in the East Coast, Cape-Cod-ish area?
It's interesting. It was interesting growing up because like everybody thinks that you have money because you live there.
Yeah, did you have money? No.
No. Is anybody looking for a sugar mama? Nope, not here. So I think the important thing was like you get a whole bunch of people, because the Portuguese are all there, the Brazilians are all there. There's the Irish come over there and they work for the summer. The Russians come over there and they work for the summer.
So it's like a nice melting pot.
It is.
I didn't know about the Brazilians.
It's interesting. They just released a thing about all the heroin use, like a documentary.
Is that the Russians coming up?
Probably.
No, I'm just kidding. No offense, Anya.
Just kidding.
Yeah, anybody that might be Russian.
And then I went to Florida and lived on the beach essentially.
Yeah. Was it like it seems like a pretty interesting departure weather-wise. Cape Cod isn't too, it's kind of cold, isn't it?
It is cold, but because of all the salt water, it doesn't really snow.
Oh, okay.
So,
but you can't go lay out on the beach that much, right?
During the summer, but all the tourists are there, so it's kind of like
those damn
that.
Russians.
Yeah.
Again, the Russians on the beach. It just keeps getting worse.
Everybody's in their Speedos. Go back to Canada.
It's not that far. Just go it's a short flight to get to Canada from Cape Cod. So how is it growing up in Cape Cod? I picture it like a halcyon, perfect weather. People are cool. They're open. There are a lot of white people, I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, there's that. There's a lot of white people. And I have my parents' idea of Mexican food is not a proper idea of Mexican food.
Understood,
I can tell you that.
No, I love hearing the horror stories. Like, what were enchiladas there?
Oh my God.
Because I have a feeling that's a problematic one.
So, the mixed cheese, like the Monterey Jack shredded, but like not like the fine, not like when you get like queso fresca and you grind it really thin, like the big thick slices, and almost like, when you guys are at Taco Bell, I don't even know, are there Taco Bells here?
Oh, yeah, lots of Taco Bells.
Okay.
Yeah, lots
I just imagine that's very like northern Texas thing, but
you'd be surprised how prolific the Taco Bell chain can be.
But they like the red sauce.
Yeah,
it's the red sauce all over them. Like there's no
geez.
green enchiladas, there's no mole, there's no
nothing nuanced, right?
No, you get red sauce.
Do they know what carnitas is?
Maybe.
I just like saying that word.
Carnitas.
Yeah. If anything, the mezcal, like, it's just kind of pumped through me, and I want to kind of start saying words.
I should have stopped for breakfast tacos. I was going to, but I was like running late. I'm like, shit, I'm going to be late, and then I'm not going to have the restaurant set up.
Oh, no. I mean, it's all prior. I mean, mezcal before tacos. Sorry, everybody, but that is how it goes.
You're going to cause an uprising.
What kind of stuff were you into, like, before you headed off to Florida? Music or sports or?
Yeah, I mean, I ran a whole bunch. I still run a whole bunch.
Oh,
because
really?
I would kill
long distance or?
Yeah, just because I would kill everybody around me if I didn't
Is it
mentally
your release?
Prepare myself for the day.
I see. So that's your happy place, your place of zen.
Yeah. So, and then I'm a huge reader, so I probably own over 1,000 books, which is crazy. Yeah, I guess that's how like the knowledge starts. I that's what bothers me too when someone says they're not learning anything in a program. When they come to me and they're like, "Oh, I'm not learning anything in a program," I'm like, "Open a fucking book like the rest of us."
There's lots of books.
Yeah, there's lots of books.
And the thing is that if you were to learn, let's say, about Russian literature, I'm just going to keep going back to Russian. We'll just keep this theme. There's lots of books. That's a lot of book.
That is a lot of books.
And there's thousands of them. But if you think about cocktails, the paramount books, the ones that are really, really influential, there's not thousands of books. There's under 50 books that change the face of the game, right? So that's even easier. It's like your barrier to entry. It's like, well, just read 20 books. 20? Okay. And then you got the knowledge that anybody else has. Takes you up to that same level.
Right, exactly. And again, I think that's something that a lot of people miss. They want to, so there's like this generational gap. There's all of the older people that have done a bunch of cool stuff for us and paved the way.
Yeah.
And then there's people in our generation that are in their late 20s that work for those people.
Right.
But they aren't necessarily doing anything. They're just like, oh, I work for so-and-so, instead of pushing forward, creating things, being more, I guess, imaginative, I don't know. So.
Do you think that, and I don't want to call it entitlement necessarily, but do you think people are more eager to not pay dues anymore? I feel like this is a thing like in the music industry, like you rough it for a while, setting up drums, picking up amps, up flights of stairs, but that there's a sense of that wanting to put your head down and work for a long time to become a master that's not really here now. It's not really a thing now. People go past that.
Yeah, I think there's a little of that, and I think there's a little, I guess, a lot of weight put on like titles and things like that.
What's a good title? Or not a good title, but just a title.
A title. Let's see. You are a manager of a beverage program at a single restaurant.
Right.
And somehow you're a beverage director.
And there's a program. His program, I think, it necessitates that there's more than one restaurant, right?
Right.
That's what I would think, a program.
So that's the thing, I guess, like beverage director, but you have one store, you know, with no potential store in the future.
So inflating your credentials.
Right, exactly. What is that thing? They released an article that was really big that everybody passed around, master mixologist or whatever. It's like, you were a bar back 2 years ago. Calm down.
Yeah.
Like, I'm an old nightclub girl. I used to pour 101s.
See, there you go. That's one of those things where people, it is a matter, there's a dynamic, and I feel like you have to, even to be great at something, you have to put in a lot of time to be great.
Right.
Now, you can be okay, and you can be maybe good, but to be great, Jedi level, if you will, you got to put in some time, and I feel like people want the shortcuts now. They just want to open up a bar without even really understanding what that means for a P&L and stuff, you know?
Right. Or the time that you spend sleeping on the couch next to the bar to make the numbers work.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's the hard part too, is like a lot of people don't see the numbers. They don't see that mint costs money. They don't see that
every single thing.
Every single thing.
Yeah, I'm costing you money right now.
Damn it, my electricity bill, my boss is going to bitch about the P&L. What is those 5 cents?
Where'd they go? Bring that guy back in here. Make him pay. So yeah, it's funny that you're right, because people don't pay attention because that's in the details.
Right, and I think that's the hard part is our mentors, our predecessors all figured that out.
Yeah.
And the kids behind my bar always joke, "Oh, don't worry, that doesn't cost money," because that's what I say to them. And they'll break a glass. "Don't worry, that doesn't cost money." I'm like,
But that was a nice glass. What are you talking about? I just dropped the bottle of Elijah Craig 23 here. We're going to have to sip it off
oh
the
my
ground
God,
with
I
straws.
can't wait to open that bottle. If I hit my numbers 13 periods in a row, that's when I'm opening.
That's the one? That's a great bottle. Actually, I mean, this back bar back here, and we'll talk about Whiskey Cake in a moment, but this back bar is just elegant. After we're done, I'm going to spend some time just kind of,
you can get up on the ladder.
Jealous and look at it, all that stuff. But cool. Well, so going back to Cape Cod, did you have an affinity for doing service stuff then, or you didn't even find out until maybe Florida?
No, actually, so school was paid for. My books were paid for.
What scholarship did you get?
Obviously, I'm a nerd, so it's an academic scholarship.
Yeah, that's great, though. Any particular field?
No, it was just I did really well in school, and they offered me a bunch of money, and I was like, okay, I'm going to move 1,400 miles away from home.
Done. Which school in Florida?
Stetson University.
Stetson.
It's a small private Baptist college in DeLand, Florida.
DeLand. How do you spell DeLand?
D-E-L.
Oh, I thought it was like D-land, like it rap name or something, like DeLand.
No, it actually is DeLand.
Oh, no shit.
And then I was so the first couple of weeks there was no money for food or anything, and I was just kind of scrounging, living off of whatever.
Yeah.
I walked in this bar and I hadn't eaten in a couple days, and I was like, "Listen, dude, I'll do anything." And he gave me half a sandwich and he poured me a beer. Keep in mind, I'm 18.
Yeah. Oh.
And he's
How
like,
nice
"Okay, listen, you're going to not fuck shit up, and you're not going to ask too many questions, and you're going to figure it out, and I'm going to give you a job." I'm like, okay.
Amazing. Now I'm not gonna assume what the job was because I'm still in suspense. You could have been a dental assistant.
No, it was behind a bar.
Yeah. What kind of bar was it?
Like a shitty ass dive bar.
Yeah.
Like
shot and beer bar. Kind of thing?
Shot and beer bar. But he everybody that's where I learned everything about the buoyancy of alcohol.
The buoyancy. That's a good term.
Because I can layer shots. Like my Poussey Cafe is awesome.
Amazing.
Just because of that job when I was 18.
Yeah.
But it was more beer. We had like 25 taps, 100 bottles.
That's pretty big. I mean, that's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and like a 50 to 70 seat bar that we crammed 150 people in because
in DeLand, Florida.
In DeLand, Florida.
Was it the place in DeLand, Florida? I'm just gonna say DeLand, Florida.
DeLand. That and like a couple other places because it's like literally the downtown is right next to the college.
Oh, good.
So
everybody's kind of stopping by.
Yeah, everybody's hanging out.
So how long were you? So I try never to assume about the trajectory of one's collegiate careers.
That's okay. I only did my 4 years. Don't worry.
Good. So what were you studying?
Marketing.
Marketing. Oh, that's helpful.
And I have a minor in chemistry that I don't use.
A minor in chemistry.
I actually use the minor in chemistry
Probably
more than I use.
Here, right? You talk about elevation of tefostate plants. Like,
yeah.
There's something chemistry about that.
Yeah.
Something very chemical.
So I guess that's I use that more than I use the marketing. I use the marketing too.
Yeah, I mean because I imagine that it gave you a sense of how to appeal to customers and how to make a good product, right? Because I mean, marketing is in essence kind of moving something in the way that people want. So, but you spent the regular 4 years in college.
Regular 4 years.
Walked away with the marketing degree.
Yeah, and then never sat down at a desk ever.
Ever again.
So I moved to the bar down the street that was like the other. Do you know what a mind eraser is?
I don't know what's in it, but I certainly have had my share.
Okay, so in DeLand, Florida, they call them hoops.
Hoops?
Hoops.
What?
Why? And I have no fucking
colloquialisms. Those Floridians. What are you going to do?
But the nice part is that I was a 22-year-old bar manager. So, and the market there fell out right when I graduated college. So you got all these well-educated people working for you.
So
I see. It was people that couldn't find jobs, that had gotten laid off from their jobs, that were working there. So it's interesting hiring people now versus hiring people then, because it's like, the unemployment rate's 11.5%, and all these people that are well-educated are coming in looking for serving jobs.
Did you like that, having such a talent pool to pull from, or is it bad because they're gonna think they're better than that?
No, actually, and I think people were just so eager to feed their families because the market was so bad that like that was it. Like they were there to work, they were there to make their money. There was no drama because everybody was an adult. And they were just gonna make their money and go the fuck home.
I like that. Like, that's nice.
It is really nice.
Move forward 10 years, and now you've got
no. My staff here is awesome. I couldn't ask for better, to be honest.
Well, so did you catch kind of wind of like cocktails and things? Because it started. Because what year were we talking when you graduated?
2008. I'm showing my age. Sorry, everyone.
That's not bad. That's not a bad. Well, it could be bad. No, it's not bad.
Yeah,
you spent 4 years in college. You're ahead there.
Yeah.
6 for me. So.
That's okay. Yeah, I know. I'm like, damn. Are you guys ever gonna graduate? This National Lampoon behind my bar. Is that the guy that took forever to graduate?
Oh yeah,
like,
Van Wilder,
they're all
right?
30 and still working on their 3rd year. I'm like, damn, guys, come on.
You lapped them literally and figuratively. You lapped them like years ago. How long did you stay in Florida then after you graduated?
I was there for 3 years out till I was 24.
Mm-hmm.
And then the cocktail scene there was not at all like a thing.
Right. Did you have a feeling, like an intuition that maybe it was going to become something bigger?
No, and there it's all like tiki and grenadine, and it's the like roses, like grenadine, roses, lime juice, like
bottled
things that they don't know anything about because they're spoiled.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I kind of feel like it's not a good thing that like the kids these days don't know what that is because it's like, man, you never had to grow up with something artificial, and now you don't appreciate this lime juice for what it is.
Pretty good. You never had to struggle through like just mass-made syrups and stuff, which is headache riddled.
Yes.
I mean, you're gonna always get a headache.
Oh, you have 3 types of orgeat. Like, you're lucky.
Yeah. That's more than I've got at home. That's pretty good. Not bad.
Not all at once.
Oh, okay.
I rotate them.
Actually, we have a blend. We do a roasted almond and then a smoked almond. No.
You're making me sound bougie.
No. If no one's gonna make you sound bougie, I swear. Coming from me, we can't do that. So then, when'd you hit after?
I lived in Virginia for 2 years.
Where about?
Harrisonburg, Virginia.
I don't know where that is.
It's where James Madison University is.
I like James Madison.
So it's in the Shenandoah Valley, which is freaking gorgeous.
Beautiful.
Oh my God. And the seasons are amazing. And I ran a bar and a 500-seat restaurant that had 2 bars in it. So it had a patio, and then it had like a normal bar.
Yeah.
And it was interesting experience.
It does beg the question, so you could throw a dart at a map and still not land on Harrisburg. So what brought you to Virginia?
So you know how all women end up in Oklahoma?
It's mathematically proven. I think
a boy, because nobody moves to Oklahoma willingly. Yes. I guess we're getting ahead in the story. But
yeah, but was it the same boy for
absolutely?
Harrisburg?
Yeah. So
was he in industry too?
No, he like all service industry people, I have a thing for teachers.
Is it because you want to be a teacher, maybe somewhere back there?
No. Well, I guess I do a lot of educational stuff.
I mean, you got that staff back there, willing to learn.
Right. I guess it's we all get burnt out with like the service industry people and other service industry people being around us, and it's hard because you're both gone, you're both in the industry, and you all share friends, and
right.
I don't really know. We were together in college, so I guess it just.
But that's an interesting point that you talk about the dynamic of relationships and having 2 people in the industry. I mean, I got to be pretty frank. I don't see a lot of relationships.
No.
Now, bar owners, that's slightly different because your money's on the line and you're kind of working and you've got a staff to do stuff for you.
Right.
But like in terms of just barbacks or bartenders, I don't see a lot of those relationships working out. No offense to anybody, but
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, but it is, and not to say that it can't. I'm a huge advocate for love and all of that, but I can see the draw, the attraction to like kind of stability, because teachers, there's no more stable profession, right? Same time every day, out at the same time. They're off summers, all this,
I think they get burnt. I think when we date normal people, though, they get burnt out because it's exciting dating someone in a bar. They know all this cool stuff. They're picking up your bar tab. Like they're taking you home from the bar.
Yeah.
But I think it's hard when someone's walking through the door at 3 a.m. They get in the shower, they drink a beer, they eat the leftovers out of the sink, and they want to wake you up, and you have to be up at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
Eventually, that gets old
it's
to them.
It's difficult.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I think there's that attraction to normal people, but there's also that they don't understand your lifestyle up to a certain point.
They can be empathetic, but they can't really live it, because coming home and like having your whole clock changed because you're coming home late every night. I mean, it definitely changes Changes things.
And they're mad you're sleeping on a Monday until like 1 o'clock
because
like, you crushed 80 hours.
Like, no, but it works out. This is my day off. Yours are just the weekends like with other people, but it's strange. So is that... how was the 500-seat restaurant? Two bars, gave
two
more
bars,
experience, I guess?
And then that's where I started learning that people's taste was changing, because I was sitting at the bar across the street, which is Clementine's, which is like my favorite bar. If you ever in Harrisonburg, Virginia, that is where you need to go. I think I'm going
to go to Harrison. Where would you fly into to get to Harrisonburg?
Charlottesville.
Charlottesville. Okay.
Charlottesville.
I know.
Okay, so you could just go over the mountain.
Yeah. No, wait, it's Harrisburg or Harrisonburg?
Harrisburg is in Pennsylvania. Harrisonburg is in Virginia.
Some army general or something is what I'm thinking, or some kind of politician. Harrison?
I have no idea.
That's a mouthful of a name for a city. It's got to be.
I have no idea.
That's George Harrison. That's who it's named after.
Are you sure?
No, I'm not. That's absolutely rubbish.
I think you're making fun.
Absolutely making it up. But it was a good experience. You see people's tastes are changing.
Yeah, like this little 21-year-old guy, keep it in mind, I'm not very much older than he is drinking. He walks up to the bar and he's like, hey, what kind of IPAs do you have? I go, this motherfucker, I was drinking Miller Lite, Keystone Light, Mickey's.
Oh, Mickey's, yeah. Some good nights with Mickey's.
So I'm like, when I was 21, I'm like, okay, this is cool. That's awesome. Like, everybody's starting to drink craft beer. Mm-hmm. And then you see people start drinking, not that we use Bombay Sapphire as the barometer for like a high-end gin, but they're drinking Oxley. They're drinking, I don't know, I can't even remember what they used
Hendrix,
to drink.
Right?
Yeah. Patron is like a normal thing, not that, and I know everybody makes fun of Patron, but like that's the gateway for agave for people.
For sure. And they're doing some cool stuff with the Roca, and it's all really good.
So I
think you're right. It's the founder.
Right.
It set the stage for agave.
I think that's where we get like agave. Super snotty, a lot of us, because it's like, oh, Patron, oh, you're drinking freaking Bombay Sapphire, oh, you're drinking Bacardi, oh, you're drinking Templeton. I saw your post about
Well, I don't have a problem. I mean, all right, real quick. There's lots of good rye whiskeys.
A lot.
Dudes have been making it for centuries that are cheaper. And they're full disclosure about everything and never trying to use marketing as a ploy to get you to buy the product. They know the product's good. So why not get one of those? That's it. That's really all
I think that's a good point for us as people that have been in it for a long time. Yeah. But I think for people, so I carry it for everybody listening. And it's a shame on me.
No.
And I understand what it is. But I'll take that guy that comes in at my bar and orders a Templeton and Coke for 6 months. For that one time he asks me, okay, what else do I want to drink?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I totally understand. So, it's a transactional rye. Like,
right.
It's not a game changer. It's not moving or elevating the art of spirits or any of that stuff. And you know what? It's clever marketing, and the end goal by making money, they were making money. So it worked out for them.
Yeah.
At least up till now.
Up till now. Up till those massive lawsuits.
We'll see how that works out. We'll see how that works out for a couple of other manufacturers, actually. But so how long were you in Virginia total?
Almost 2 years.
Same spot?
Same spot. And they were great to me. The owner, you see, you know how we talk about that relationship thing?
Yeah.
I learned a lot about how not to treat my spouse. Because
care to share any lessons?
Yeah. So the owner, so there's a huge college there, a 25,000 person college, and so alumni weekend. There's a football team. They run $100,000 out of that restaurant in 2 days.
Holy shit!
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's a lot. Yeah.
So he's microphoned through the kitchen so they can expo food better and they can talk to the people. And he is arguing with his wife, and he's still microphoned. And he's back in the prep kitchen, and he's yelling at her. She's done nothing wrong, keep in mind. And he calls her a fucking bitch.
What? On the floor?
A microphone through the kitchen so everybody can. And
That's
it was
horrible.
like, I know. And it was so heartbreaking to me as a female in the business that my significant other that I'm a partner with in life and a partner in business with would talk to someone like that. That's crazy.
That's crossing a line.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the guys in the kitchen that she used to bring us breakfast, like
totally
Red Bulls
nice, right?
and candy and granola bars for those weekends, and like run food, and like their daughter would come in and run like rolls to the tables, like super nice people, except for him. So it's interesting to like see that and be like, okay, that's not how I want to treat my partner ever.
That's horrible. It's just like a lack of respect just in general. Yeah.
Oh yeah. And sometimes, and a lot of what I learned about not treating treating employees with respect was from him because he didn't treat people very well that took care of that business.
What do you like? Why do you think people are like that? They're just not grateful, or
I think again, I think it's an ego thing.
Yeah.
You know how again, I think a lot of people in this business all of us are a certain level of ego driven because that's why we're in this business.
Well, in the world, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you want some recognition. Some people don't, but most people want a fraction.
A little bit, yeah.
Recognition. At least success for where they're working, even
right.
if not personal success. Because as a beverage, what's your official title?
I am the bar manager.
Good. Well, you didn't inflate it. You're a bar. That's good.
Yeah.
But you mean the success of this bar is your success.
Right. Exactly.
You know? Well, that's a good lesson. It's just, lacking that common. I see that in kitchens a lot. Just the head chefs are just fucking crazy and eccentric, and they don't have soft skills whatsoever. It's all just polar, you know? Either really, really sad, really, really angry.
Yep.
It's crazy. I don't know what. Maybe it can't be all the booze. Because I feel like you seem pretty normal.
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
For now.
I know.
There's more mezcal
I was going to say, let's have another mezcal. So, I don't know what the disconnect is there on that part, though. Again, it's ego-driven. I will, as far as chefs are concerned, I will give a shout-out to our executive chef. We opened the Oklahoma City store together, and that man still will be working a 15-hour day, and he'll be like, you haven't eaten today, and we'll walk around the line. Keep in mind, he has all of our restaurants.
Yeah,
we'll walk around the line and make me something to eat because I haven't eaten.
Yeah, that's incredibly cordial of him. Very, very courteous. And that's something I think that's one of the reasons that maybe we're drawn to this business is the actual sense of community. In the actual sense of selflessness that we have and sharing and all that. I mean, you're sharing mezcal, you made some coffee. I mean, this is wonderful and it's very, very opening. And I feel like I feel very lucky. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So what drew? Okay, so all right. So we got Florida, we got Cape Cod. This is a pretty good story. I mean, I'm thinking like Kerouac riding cars across. You go from Cape Cod to DeLand, Florida. You got Harrisonburg. I mean, these are all cities. I'm learning so much about America right now. And then you were taken to Oklahoma after Virginia.
Yeah.
For the same teacher or a different teacher?
No, same teacher.
Okay. So you were literally hot for teacher.
No, yeah. So, hilarious.
I know. It's horrible. I know. It's totally horrible.
Yeah, we were together for 8 years.
That's a good chunk of time.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
did he get a new teaching gig in Oklahoma? Is that what happened?
He got his master's degree at James Madison, and then he couldn't get into a PhD program, which is crazy to me because that man is fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
But then he joined Teach for America, which is a great program where they take people and with college degrees and they place them in schools that need teachers that aren't going to pay them the most. And so our choices were Detroit, Michigan,
RoboCop land,
the Mississippi Delta.
Oh, Jesus.
Or Oklahoma City.
I would have picked Oklahoma City. I mean, I lived in Detroit for a little while. I'm picking. There's no way I'm not going to Oklahoma City.
I mean, I have pit bulls, so I would have fit fine in Detroit, but so Oklahoma City it was. And the job market there, the unemployment rate's so low, it's like 3.5%.
Really? What's the industry there?
Oil. So the job market's super easy to get something in.
Oh, that's great.
So I started working for Marriott, and it was awesome because I joined their task force. So I was traveling all the time. So I was 2 weeks in my hotel, 2 weeks somewhere else, 2 weeks in my hotel, 2 weeks somewhere else. Like, it was great.
Nice. Yeah. Because you're still young. I mean, your body can put up with it.
Right.
The jet lag, all of it.
It was great, and then they changed ownership, and I think the turning point was the new GM walks by this guy standing at the front, the valet guy, and he goes, "Pick up that cigarette. It's been sitting there for 3 days," and I wanted to be like, "Fuck you! It's been sitting there for 3 days. Why didn't you pick it up?"
Yeah. How hard is it?
Yeah. I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
So it was that moment. Did you catch little glimpses of that kind of dynamic throughout the?
It was coming. Coming, and everybody was like, "Keep your head down. It'll get better. And it wasn't getting any better.
All because of this one dude.
I think it was the shift in management, and they were trying to renovate the hotel, and they were trying to make it better, and it wasn't getting any better.
Gotcha.
And so I was just like, okay, I need to do something else. So I'm in Florida, and my best friend there in Oklahoma who is 5 feet tall, big fake boobs, fake lips.
Okay. In Oklahoma, I guess that's where they go.
Yeah. She works for Remington Park, which is a racetrack up there. Mm-hmm. But her ex-boyfriend used to work for Twin Peaks, which my company is the offshoot.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. We're the independent brand from them, but the same guys. Yeah. Those old dudes that started that are actually these super cool foodie nerds.
No kidding.
Like guys that like to drink whiskey.
I gotta tell you, I wouldn't expect that. I would say it's a guy with his jaw to the floor with his tongue hanging out that likes boobs, and that's what
they're super.
They're shrewd, right?
Yeah.
They're I think people. You know what guys like? It took us a month to figure this out, but I think they like boobs.
Yeah.
Lo and behold, Twin Peaks is born.
Yeah, and they're these super nerdy cool guys that are just just want to have fun and make good food and make people happy.
That's so cool. No better objective than trying to make people happy.
But so she calls me. She's like, "Hey, I gave your resume to this guy." I'm like, I applied to them as a bartender, just like I was ready to get out of the hotel. I didn't care.
Whatever you can do. Yeah.
And they passed me over. They gave me a generic, "Oh yeah, show up at this hotel and we'll interview you." And I was like, "Fuck that. Well, if my resume didn't stand out, I'm nothing to you."
Yeah.
So and I'm like, "Man, I don't want to go do that, Alexis. They already passed me over once." She's like, "You're going. You're miserable at the hotel."
Just do it. What is there to lose?
So I went and I interviewed with the DO, who is a really freaking cool guy, and I met my GM, who is now the GM in the Dallas store, who is wearing Dickies. Whiskey Cake Kitchen shirt with just the top button done like he's a cholo. And I'm looking at them both going, okay, cool, this might work.
Yeah.
And they brought me on to actually manage the hostesses. But the bar manager they had wasn't exactly a stand-up character.
I see.
So I think they had brought me on to replace him, knowing that would be the eventuality of it.
Exit plan for him.
So I got hired. So we met on a Thursday. I flew in on a Wednesday. We met on a Thursday. I drove to Dallas on a Friday to stage to make sure they liked me.
Sure. And is that where you met up with them, like the DO and stuff in Dallas?
No, they met me in Oklahoma because the restaurant was already under construction.
Gotcha. Okay.
And then they were like, "Okay, cool, we like you." I'm like, "Okay, I need to give my 2 weeks at my job. That's proper etiquette."
Yeah.
The hotel was like, "Oh, well, fuck you. Come turn in your keys." So I'm like, "Oh."
So they didn't even want you to just...
No.
That's a sign of a real good organization. You're going to quit? Well, you can't play with my toys anymore.
Right.
It's horrible.
So I was like, "Okay." They're like, "Come turn in your key right now." I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm driving back from Dallas." So I was like, "Hey, Scott, I can start, Monday." He's like, "Okay, Monday orientation." I pissed in a cup, and then I was Dallas for 6 weeks doing training, and I worked at the company for 3 years.
It just works like that. Mm-hmm. That's crazy. So 3 years now, you said?
3 years, yeah. Or 3 years in April. So
how was it opening up the whiskey? You were opening up the Whiskey Cake in Oklahoma City, right?
Yeah. It was that because it was the first offshoot. Obviously, it was interesting and a lot of learning curves.
Because they have to scale procedures and stuff, in which they probably never had done before.
Right. And then I will say that the Oklahoma market has come a long way, but it's still not as forthcoming.
Yeah.
And then because the job market's so good there, if people don't have standards, it's really easy to go just find another job. So if you don't want to keep the standard, it's like, "Oh, well, fuck you. I can go to this other place, make just as much money, and not have to clean and not have to educate myself."
So it's an applicant's market in a sense, right?
Absolutely.
Interesting. It's like that in Houston too, I hear. You can't even find a general contractor to do any work or find hospitality staff because there's so many places that they can just work wherever they want. That particular industry. I mean, I don't know about oil or marketing or any of that.
Kate, so the Houston market, I imagine, is interesting right now because I just read this article about how they've got that energy corridor and how gas is so cheap right now that there's a little bit of fallout. So it should be interesting. Everybody is like, "Yay, cheap gas." I'm like, "No, cheap gas is bad."
Good for me, bad for lots of other people.
Yeah, you run a bar in oil country.
Yeah.
That is 90% of your clientele.
Right.
They spend money. I don't want to sell $12 blends. I want to sell $25 scotches.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is. It affects all areas of the market, especially gas prices, of course.
Yeah.
We can get into socioeconomic status and all this stuff. But yeah, it is an interesting thing. It's a lifeblood for so many cities, And I guess I always felt like bars are impervious to failure because everybody's going to always want to drink. Like, so if you're serving shots and serving beer and doing it consistently and people come in, like, what do you got to lose? I mean, is it really like that?
I think, yeah, I mean, it definitely has its like ebbs and flows depending, especially in this market, I think. I'm sorry, I poured mezcal in your topo.
I'll be totally honest. I was like, did she just pour mezcal on my topo? But I mean, I was like, well, maybe that's your thing. Maybe that's how you drink mezcal. I don't ever judge. I want you serve it how you want to serve it. And I'll probably drink it either way. So
I think I've gotten to that point where I'm just like, oh man, I don't want to drink cocktails. Like I do when we're doing R&D, when we open a new restaurant in another location. Like we always do R&D for that stuff. But it's kind of like, man, or when we're doing the menus for like specialty dinners and stuff, I'm like, I don't want to drink cocktails. Can we just serve this stuff straight?
Yeah, it's there's something simple about it. I don't have to worry about balance in terms of ingredients or someone executing it right. Like if it's distilled well, it's gonna taste good. Any Kentucky bourbon's gonna be good. Right. Most of the mezcals, at any rate, all the vodka stuff's fucking brilliant. So
yeah,
exceptional stuff. But so being not too familiar with whiskey cake, can you tell me kind of what the motif is? Like what do you guys look to accomplish both culinarily and with your cocktails?
Okay, so I know you haven't been to the other ones.
Interview question.
Yeah, I know. Serious interview question now. I'm waiting for my beverage director to hear this and go, you misspoke.
No, it's all positive stuff. I swear.
No, I'm just kidding. So I think they build these huge restaurants, right?
Yeah.
And
this is you said how many spots?
307 seats.
307 seats. I mean, it's wonderfully open, really bright. Like, I don't feel like it's 10 o'clock in the morning. I feel like nice, 1 p.m., 2 p.m., very nice and bright.
It's the mezcal.
It is a combination of both. It has to be a combination of both. Good lighting, so.
So I think what I love about it is that I could make you anything in the world because I have this big, beautiful bar.
Yeah.
But you know, there's approachable things too. Like there's the comforts, like you don't have to worry about walking in here and being like, oh, I don't have a Bud Light. Oh, I don't have Miller Lite. Oh, I don't have, like, everything on my tap is craft.
Yeah.
But you can have a Bud Light or Miller Lite if you want to.
Sure.
If that's not your thing. And I think here's what I try and accomplish. I always want to educate my staff the best that I can.
Yeah.
And I want them to educate people that come in here because a lot of them are middle-class people that, like, we're not in the saturated market. There's, like, one other craft place up here on the north side.
Yeah.
Like, this area is booming now. It's starting to grow. So we get a lot of people that don't know a lot about things. So I try to educate the staff so they can educate people.
Do you think, I feel like right now is a very interesting point in San Antonio and Houston and Austin. People really, like, people that aren't in the industry, they want to learn. They're really interested in craft stuff. It's kind of nice. I mean, it's nice.
It is nice. It is nice. But if they don't want to learn, they're just in here shooting the shit, having a couple beers with their buddies.
Yeah.
I'm not going to deny the server the sale. I'm not going to deny the bar the sale because they come back, and I love this about the staff because they try so hard. They'll come back and be like, I'm sorry, they didn't like this. And they apologize. I'm like, you don't have to apologize to me. And I have to pop open 6 Miller Lights. It's okay.
Yeah, it's no big deal.
You tried, and that's all that's important.
Yeah, if you're trying to promulgate the narrative, right?
Right,
like, seriously,
exactly.
if you're trying to do that and people don't like it, that's fine. I tell you what, gin is a very dividing and a very polarizing spirit. And I've done many taste testings in stores where people are like, oh, gin, man. And I'm like, okay, no problem. That's not your thing. I'm not going to try it. I don't want to make it a pissing contest with people.
No.
Because that's not how you win over people and introduce them into new things anyway. You got to let them think it was their idea.
Right. I mean, it's like Hendrix has made this huge boom all of a sudden, like the past couple of years. And it's cool because they macerate and they evaporate, and it's two completely different spirits. And then process. They add the cucumber essence. And, I think that's important. But it's the sugar that people love in it.
Yeah, that stuff's really thick in syrupy.
Holy crap. And don't get me wrong, I love the occasional, like, it's summer, it's hot, it's 90 degrees, it's San Antonio. Like, I want to Hendrix on the rocks.
I mean, but it still tastes like my grandma smells.
I heard that.
Because of the rose. So
right.
Was privy to some of the distillation techniques and the way they blend it and stuff. And it's like, it's not cucumber, it's rose.
Yeah.
Now, there is cucumber distillate, but that's not really what you're getting.
Right. I think it's because they add it as an afterthought. You know what I'm saying? It's not in the actual boil when they're
and
creating the process.
You don't distill out those bigger oils. You're actually adding in essences and stuff. Yeah. Now that is appealing to your chemistry minor sensibilities, right?
Right.
But yeah, it's either, but the fact that anybody even gives a shit about gin and more than just one gin, I mean, that speaks volumes about how this conversation has changed and how the narrative has changed in craft and in cocktails and all of that. So,
yeah.
But because I'm a little bit hungry, what is something you enjoy eating here?
Okay, so the kale and pomegranate salad is like
kale and pomegranate.
Yeah, so they you know what a 6-minute egg is, where they leave it runny on the inside. Okay, and then they flash fry it. So literally,
it's like a Scotch egg.
Yes.
Oh my god, that's so good.
So it's got hot bacon dressing on it, and then
bacon dressing.
Yeah. So then you cut open the egg, and it runs all over the salad, and
it's got
crunchy,
right?
Oh my god, yeah, and it's got these fried chickpeas and this tasso ham in it, and you mix everything together.
Oh, that's brilliant.
Oh, it's so freaking good.
See, that's good. That comes from someone who loves food. You can tell. It's like nothing more unctuous and rewarding and satisfying than an egg.
I know.
A deep fried egg.
A deep fried egg.
A deep fried kind of soft egg. I mean, that's wow.
And then anything with kale in it.
Yeah.
I know that everybody's super bougie and on the kale cake, but anything time you want something hot, because kale is a hearty green, it holds up to heat. So
it's really, you're right.
You can put whatever you want on it.
Torch the shit out of it. You're not getting rid of those stalks. Those stalks are not going away. Like, no matter how much you braise it, how much you steam, whatever, those are rough stalks.
Right, exactly.
Still, very, very rough. So how do you feel about being in San Antonio then? Because you shifted, you said you've been here 2 years, is that right?
1 year.
1 year, okay.
I have never been part of a more welcoming group of people in my entire life. So literally, I drive in on a Sunday, and the boys have already been here for quite a while, the other managers. Mm-hmm. So I drive in on a Sunday. I have my first vendor appointment on a Monday. So it's 7 hours with my pit bull in the front seat.
He or she?
It's a girl.
What, did she enjoy that?
She likes to sit in the front seat and mean mug the fuck out of everybody.
Yeah.
So eventually, hour 5, she finally curls up in a little ball and goes to sleep. I barely make the cutoff for my apartment. And so I fall asleep immediately.
Crash out. Sunday night, you said, right?
Yeah, it's a Sunday night. I missed my apartment delivery for the furniture and everything like that. So literally, I'm sleeping on the floor, covered in a blanket with my dog.
But that's living. That's true frontier living.
Yeah. And so I get up the next day and I go and I meet the boys at the hotel because they're still interviewing out of the hotel because we can't get into this place yet.
Oh.
And they're like, oh, hey, they're like, do you need a couple days? I'm like, no, I have vendor appointments. Let's go.
I got to get to it.
Yeah. So I meet the entire Glaziers team here, who are all phenomenal people.
Yeah.
The nicest human beings in the entire world.
Great team.
And then I wander into Hot Joy while Kara is still working there, probably 3 weeks later.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, hey, do you want to... I'm like, hey, I'm Killian. I work for Whiskey Cake. I just moved here. And she's like, okay, hey, do you want to hang out?
Was she wondering why you're telling her this?
No, just we struck up a conversation, and I think I was drinking Hendrix actually.
Oh yeah.
And we started talking. She's like, oh, I'm gonna go to dinner with my roommate. Do you want to come? I'm like, okay, cool, yeah, that's fine. I'll text me in a couple hours. I didn't even think she'd call me.
Cool.
And then it just kind of snowballed from there. And then I met Jarrell and a couple of the other boys in town, Johnny Umal, and Liz has been nothing but kind. I've never met so many people, especially in the cocktail community where we get super snotty and stuff like that. I work for a corporate place.
Yeah.
And they're just hey, come, you can drink. Okay, come hang out.
That's so cool.
Just super nice and welcoming, and didn't care anything about anything other than that I wanted to talk shit with them and drink.
I sense that. It's not a need, but I sense this just thirst for not recognition, but thirst for community, thirst for structure in the community.
Yes.
And I sense that's kind of really bubbling up, and that's why USBG the chapter just started last year, right? Or is this year?
It's this year.
Yeah. So I mean, it's a burgeoning thing. Lots of people involved. You guys are having a holiday party. It looks like next week, or maybe it's this week. I don't know.
Sunday.
Yeah. So I mean, that's you guys are doing it. It's coalescing. It's uniforming. It's turning into something that's going to become a movement. Because if you got a lot of people standing around not organized and not working together and collaborating, then you can't get any motion. But that's really happening for San Antonio. I mean, it's going to be a destination place very soon.
Which is good.
I think it's good.
I mean, I love it here. This is one of my favorite places that I've lived, and I'm pretty well traveled. I mean, it's no DeLand, Florida, but it's pretty good.
DeLand, yeah. Where do you? Because you have a great pedigree coming into this. You've had some really nice corporate gigs, some smaller gigs. Where do you think ultimately you want to decide in the business? Do you want to own a place? Do you want to start a spirits brand?
Okay, so this is...
You have a plan. I can see this. There's like this twinkle, like, oh man, if
no, it's always easier to play with other people's money.
Yes. Yeah, I wish I had the luxury of playing with other people's money.
So that's always a good thing. And then the place, the Whiskey Cake's so good to me.
Yeah.
We'll eventually open more stores.
Gives you more power, a reign of power.
I know.
That's appealing to anybody.
The dark side of corporate is built on whiskey and cake.
The dark side of human nature is built on whiskey and cake. All of it. There's some wonderful things that happen when eating whiskey and cake, but there's some dark fucking things that happen when a lot of people drinking a lot of whiskey and eating a lot of cake. For me, I try to focus on the light stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But they give you some freedom in your career.
Absolutely. And
but if you had the money that you wanted, which never happens, by the way.
No.
Are you seemingly the chemistry side of it interests you? Probably the process side. Do you ever see yourself getting in there and getting your hands dirty and fermenting and distilling? Or?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah, no, I couldn't. I don't think I could do it. It's interesting to me, and I love to see like the way other people's minds work.
Yeah.
Or the way they create things, and it's kind of like, oh, that makes sense. Why didn't I think about that?
Yeah.
So it's that
kicking your stuck.
Damn it. Yeah. So that's always interesting to see everybody else's chemistry at work.
Yeah.
So, but for me, it's kind of like I appreciate these things too much to ever try and recreate them. Like
But you know what? Like each of us, I think, if you're a creative person and you're kind of interested in the details, most people will have an aha moment. And then that's what sets things into motion. And you're like, wow, you know what? There's something I don't like about rye whiskeys, so I'm going to go make my own. That's not the case for me personally, but I know a couple guys that do that, and it's like, that's great.
Everyone stop making ryes. The rye market is oversaturated.
It's oversaturated.
Please, for the love of God, it's the new white dog.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. That's crazy, because there's not a lot of that in Austin. So it's interesting to hear you say that here.
Oh, God.
Too many ryes?
Too many ryes. And like my boss, the director of operations, was a rye drinker before they were cool.
Yeah.
But now it's kind of like, God, and there's so many people not making them correct. Like, Woodford rye is good for what it is. It's to get bourbon drinkers into drinking rye. Uh-huh. But for me, I wouldn't drink that as a rye
You want like
drinker.
a really nice, tight and dry rye. What is the go-to for you?
Man, I don't know.
There's a lot. Like I think Sazerac, just the regular, that's a really tight, dry rye.
Yeah. I'm the Scotch drinker of the group.
Oh yeah.
So that's my go-to for everything.
Just peat it. Just get. Are you a Lafroig person or?
No, I think. Okay, so here's what's crazy, and I thought about this while we were teaching something the other day. Is like now all these Highlands are becoming peated. Like a Knock does a peated Highland now. They've got the Rudder and that whole series where they're lightly peated. It's only 14 parts to like 11 parts per million. Like,
right, which is enough. It's detectable.
It's enough. It's not like an Ardbeg, you know.
Right.
And then you've got Brooklotic, who's doing all of that, like. They do a peated series and then they do an unpeated, so they're getting their stuff from a local place and then they're buying their stuff from Port Ellen.
It's such a cool model.
It is. It's interesting, but we've had to train the way that we see things now because Islays are not all peated. They're not all this smoky craziness.
So much confusion. If only someone would make a book.
I think he did. Scotch drinkers don't actually care what you think as long as you agree with them.
That's true. That's very true. I don't know. Bourbon drinkers, I think there's some friction between bourbon drinkers and Scotch drinkers. For me, there is. Although, even though you're drinking whiskey, I think there's just a little bit of friction.
I think here's the problem with bourbon drinkers. How boring is it that how bored can you be with that caramel, toffee, toasted marshmallow, hinted tobacco, sorry. Like,
Yeah.
no, like, I'm over it.
See, here's the thing. Now
we're fighting,
this
sorry.
is good. No, this is a good dialogue. If you the nice thing about bourbons is that you can taste wild turkey and tell it's wild turkey.
Of course.
But why is it wild turkey? And so to think about what about wild turkey and what about that mash bill differentiates it from Four Roses?
Right.
From Buffalo Trace, from Heaven Hill. Like, you can taste it, and there's some comfort for me in being able to taste a non-label that somebody that doesn't disclose, like Michter's, for example, until they start making their stuff, and tasting and be like, this is my homeboys at Heaven Hill, right? Which I'm not saying that's what it is because they won't tell me, so I won't go on record and say. But there's something I like about that, you know, because there's not so much difference between them, and it's not always so sweet,
right?
You know, but Scotch, it's drier typically to me. I mean, obviously it's not as sweet, but
to me, Lafroy's sweet. It's got that like sweet note to it underneath the peat, you know.
It's like, you know, oh, you're such a beautiful person, but you're a murderer. Like it's got like this nice appealing aspect.
Maybe that's
to
why I like it.
Then I'll rip your face off with just the mossy peatiness, you know.
Oh shit!
But I think it's a good dialogue, right?
Yeah, it is.
Having bourbon versus whiskey Scotch drinkers.
Yeah, and I think that. So High West does that campfire, which is a little much for me, but I think it's an interesting way to present, like, to bourbon and rye drinkers the way Scotch is.
Yeah, so. It's interesting. I don't know. It's fun, and it's fun that we can have these little tribes within the industry of what we drink, of what we like. Some people that won't drink espadín, some people that won't drink tequila. You know, like, there's lots of differentiation, but that's the lovely part of it.
Right.
A bunch of creative minds.
I think everybody just needs to drink everything. It's fine.
Yes.
Nobody's going to judge you.
No truer words have been spoken or implied.
Right. Like, seriously, just drink everything. It's fine.
I totally agree. And Killian, thank you so much for sharing this wonderful coffee, this wonderful mezcal, and this wonderful space with me this morning. So, talk soon. Thank you.
Thank you.
Don't judge and drink whatever you want. Great words to be spoken at such an early hour, to be frank. But what do you guys think of that chat with Killian? She is very intelligent, very driven, ambitious, and she represents that spirit, that emerging spirit that is thriving in San Antonio right as we speak. You guys are building an amazing USBG community. The Cocktail Conference makes it a world-renowned event, putting San Antonio on the spirits and bar map. Lots of potential, and I cannot wait to see what else emerges from San Antonio in 2016. So thank you, everybody, for listening to Show to V with Mike G. No matter if you are trying to get those damn kale stalks soft, no matter if you're drinking mezcal at 9:31 in the morning, just please keep dancing.